Hello, good evening.
Good evening, madam.
Hello. Yes, the chat. Good evening. Yes, good evening. Okay, we can start from this question because we have already finished our first source, income source, that is employment income. So I have given you some examples, so questions with regard to the accessible income from employment. So that means how we have to calculate the accessible income from employment. That means accessible income. So normally we are considering the income sources. So each source we have to calculate accessible income from each source. So first one is accessible income from employment income. After that, we have to calculate accessible income from business income, accessible income from investment income, and accessible income from other income. After that, altogether, we consider it as accessible income, total accessible income. After that, we can deduct some qualifying payments or reliefs. Then we will have the taxable income, and we have to apply tax rates for that taxable income. So this is the beginning of the calculation of personal income tax liability. So this is for the employment income. I have shared this document with you, so you can take a paper and you can start the calculation of an accessible income from employment. So you can start the calculation, and one by one I will explain what we have to do. After that, we can do the final calculation. Okay. Then try to calculate the tax liability, not the tax liability, because I have not yet done up to that point. We have only done, we have only, I have only explained up to accessible income. So that is why I have given this example. Then this is the income of Mr. Channa Pereira. He is a chartered accountant working as head of finance. So this is for the year of assessment 24-25. So we will calculate our tax liability for the exam in 24-25-26. But very similar details are there. So after that, we can calculate some tax liabilities for the year of assessment 25-26 as well. Okay, then we can start. This is Mr. Channa Pereira's income particulars, income details for employment. So he has received basic salary, that is 239,200 per month. So as I have already explained, we should calculate year 2024, year of assessment 24-25 tax liability. So it has given in the bottom of this question, sorry, this should come to the question is little bit should be changed. You are required to calculate accessible income from employment of Mr. Pereira for the year of assessment 25-26. 24-25. So you can make reasonable assumptions if needed. So if needed, we have given that, I have given that sentence because sometimes you cannot understand what to do. So at that time, you can make reasonable assumptions, not just an assumption, but it should be a reasonable one. If I have not given a specific thing, specific clarification is not given, only at that time you should make reasonable assumptions. If I have clearly mentioned something, at that time it is not necessary to make assumptions because it has already been given. Okay, so you are going to calculate year of assessment 24-25. So these are the details for the month. So when in the each sentence I have mentioned whether it is for a month or for a year. The first one is basic salary. That is 239,200 per month. So this is per month. That means since we should calculate year of assessment like assessable income, you have to multiply this amount. Sometimes for all figures are given for a month. Then you should multiply it by 12. So you have given after deducting 8% to the provident fund and the employer's contribution to this fund is at 12% on the gross basic salary. The fund has been approved by the CGIR. So I have given you a lot of details. So this is a basic salary, but it is after deducting 8% to the provident fund. So you know that when we are receiving our salary, normally they deduct for provident fund and for the, yes, for the provident fund, they deduct some percentage to the provident fund. So here they have deducted 8% to the provident fund and the employer's contribution to this fund is 12%. Now you should calculate the gross salary because we are going to calculate employment income. It should be the gross amount. So this is the basic salary, but after deducting 8%. Therefore, you should know the amount before deducting that 8%. So how do you calculate it? You should divide this 239,200 amount by 92. Why? This is the net amount. Net amount means after deducting 8%. Suppose our salary is 100, but they deducted 8%. That means we received only 92. So this amount is equal to that 92. That is why we are dividing that amount by 92. And after that, we have to multiply it by 100 to calculate the gross amount. Then we can consider it as a monthly gross amount. And they have already, and the employer's contribution to this fund is 12%. So the 12% is the employer contribution. We have to consider it later. So prior to that, we have to consider the gross amount. So calculate the gross amount, that is 239,200 divided by 92 multiplied by 8. That is the gross amount per month. After that, you have to multiply it by 12 to consider for the year of assessment amount. It will be 3,120,000. So that is liable. So first of all, I will explain how to do it. And after that, I will show you the answer sheet. So for the inclusion of this kind of things in the mark sheet, answer sheet, first of all, you should have a table. A table, it should have 4 columns. First column is for the description. The second column is for the income. Then the third column is for exempt or excluded amounts, to include exempt or excluded amounts. The final column is for the liable amounts. So you should have a table with 4 columns. First column is for the description, second column is for the income, third column is for the exempt or excluded amounts, final column is for the liable amounts. Then you can start entering these amounts in your table. First one is basic salary. Basic salary, that should be a gross amount. So you have to multiply it by 8 and divide it by 92. And for the calculation of yearly amount, you should multiply it by 12. It should be entered in the income column and in the liable column because that is the income. That income is 100% liable. So that 3,120,000 should be included in the second column and the last column. Then you have given the employer's contribution to this fund, that is at the rate of 12% on the gross basic salary. Now you know the gross basic salary. The gross basic salary is the amount you are calculated using this first line. That means 3,120,000. So to that 3,120,000, 12% is the employer's contribution to the fund. So I think you can remember when I am explaining about the employment income, I have mentioned some items that should be included and sometimes that should be excluded. In the excluded part, I have mentioned some income are tax exempt, some income should be tax excluded. So if you can remember, employer's contribution to the fund, to the pension provident fund is an exempt. It is an exempt. So because of that, now you have to calculate employer's contribution to the fund using the amount you have already calculated. That is 3,120,000. You should consider the 12% of that amount. Then that amount is 3,374,400. That is tax exempt. I think you can understand what I am talking. If you cannot understand, please call me. Please tell me. Then I can show you the answer sheet. So employers' contribution to the fund is tax exempt. So even though they have deducted that 12%, it is tax exempt at the time of contributing to the fund. So I have mentioned two situations with regard to the pension funds. First one is contribution made to the fund. The second one is receiving pension income from that fund. So now we are talking about the first situation, that is employer's contribution to the fund. So that amount is tax exempt. So we should not consider it as a liable income. That is why we should mention it under income column and under exempt column. Then the next one. He has been given a 1500cc motor vehicle with driver. So that is a vehicle benefit. That is a vehicle benefit. So can you calculate the amount that we have to include for the calculation of assessable income? Try to calculate. Try to identify the amount that we have to consider as a vehicle benefit. What is the amount? If you have that ascertainment, quantification document, in that document, I have explained already. So what is the amount we have to mention under vehicle allowance or the benefit? That is, so I have one answer, two answers, that is 30. One is 30, the next one is 360. So 30,000 real. Said it is 30,000. 30,000 is per month. So we cannot consider monthly amount for the year of assessment. We have to multiply it by 12. මම මේක ගිය සැරේත් හොඳටම මතක් කරා මං හිතන්නේ මතක ඇති. අපිට මෙතන මේ ගානම් බලනකොට එකපාරට තේරෙන්නේ මෙච්චරයි ගන්න ඕනේ කියලා. But we are going to calculate assessable income for the year of assessment, not for the month. So 30,000 is correct for a month, but we are considering for a year. So because of that, both your answers are correct, but 30,000 should be multiplied by 12. Then that is 360,000. I think you can remember the quantification document. If someone need more clarification with regard to that, you can ask. Then the next one is fuel allowance. So what is the amount we have to consider for the assessable income? What is the amount? 45,000. Then what is the amount? Yes, I have two answers. Yes, more answers? Fuel allowance 45,000 per month. Definitely you know that we have to multiply by 12. And this is fuel allowance. So what is the answer? One said 15,000 per month. Then the next one, 45 multiplied by 12, that is 540. Then 15,000 multiplied by 12. So why you, that is fuel allowance. So why did you consider that 15,000? Why is that? What is that amount? 15,000? What is the 15,000 amount? හරි මේ 15,000 ගත්තේ ඇයි කියලා මට කවුරු හරි කියන්න පුළුවන්ද? මොකක්ද හේතුව? මොකද දෙන්නෙක් විතරම දාලා තියෙනවා 15,000. I can, oh 15 මේ බිංදුව වෙන්නේ නැති. 15,000 multiply by 12 කියලා. Then again ජීවන්ත 15,000 දාලා තියෙනවා. Why is that? No matter, it should be 20,000 per month. 20,000 per month. I cannot understand that one also. ජීවන්ත. ඇයි ජීවන්ත? මහත්තයෙක්ද නෝන කෙනෙක්ද දන්නේ නැහැ. ඇයි මෙම 20,000 කියලා හිතුවේ? එහෙම 20,000 කතාවක් 15,000 කතාවක් කියන්නෙම නෑනේ අපි එතන. He is referring to the table. Table. Okay. No, this is fuel allowance. He has given fuel allowance. Allowance is in cash. So if we have received some amount in cash, at that time we cannot consider that table because table is given for, if we have given fuel, at that time we can use that table. But fuel allowance is in cash. So if we are receiving some amount in cash, fuel allowance, vehicle allowance, like that, the total amount should be considered. So here we have that person, Mr. Channa Perera, received fuel allowance. So at that time, we have to consider the amount we received, 45,000 per month. Is it okay? Okay, then we can move to the next one. Bonus paid on December 15th, 2024 based on previous year profit, 250,000. Is it a liable amount or not? Then bonus. Is it a liable amount or not? Bonus. Yes. Oh, yes, it is a liable. Real. He or she said, no, it should be another table in lump sum. I wanted to explain the difference between application of the table and the calculation of tax liability. Oh. One has another problem. There is a bad weather condition in our area, lightning heavily. I think we also have. I also have, but I cannot see because my room is covered. I don't know in the outside situation. So what do you want? Yes, the Rifkan said lump sum table is applicable only to the employer. Yes, actually tables are given for the easy calculation of employees liability. But when we are calculating our own tax liability, we can do it by ourselves like how we are doing it. Actually, lump sum table also can be used by an employee, no issue. Same figures will be received. But since we can do it by our own, because it is very easy to calculate, by including every income tax, every income amounts in one table, we can do it separately. So it is not necessary to apply tables. If you want to calculate the bonus tax liability for that bonus, you can do it separately by using lump sum table. So it is not the reason. Lump sum table is applicable only to the employer. ඒක වේ හරි. Only to the employer නෙවෙයි අපිට පාවිච්චි කරන්න පුළුවන්. කිසි කෙනෙක් තහනම් කරලා නැහැ. We also can use. But we are not using it when we are calculating the tax liability because අපි කරන්නේ අපේ එක විතරයිනේ. එතකොට Excel එකක් අරගෙන මේක දාලා නිකම්ම හදන්න පුළුවන්. අපි tables දීලා තින්නේ employer-ට ගොඩාක් අය ඉන්නකොට app එකක් විදිහට මේක පහසුවෙන් හදලා ඒගොල්ලන්ට calculation easy කරන්න විතරයි. ඒතර අපිට ඒක පාවිච්චි කරන්න බැහැ කියලා නෑ. දැන් කවුරු හරි මේ තියෙන ඉලක්කමෙන් ওই ලම්සම් amount එක දාලා හදලා බැලුවොත් මේ liability එක එයි. හැබැයි එතකොට මේ අනිත් ඔක්කොම දාලා අර විදිහටම ඔක්කොම එකතු කරලා හදන්න ඕනේ. එතකොට මේ ඉස්සෙල්ලාම මේක අරගෙන අපි අපේ T10 form එකේ හම්බ වෙන figures වගේ දාලා හදන්න ඕනේ. So that is a separate thing. So මෙතන මේ reason එක මෙහෙම කිව්ව එක නම් වැරදි. එතකොට ලම්සම් ටේබල් එකක් තියෙන නිසා නෙවෙයි අපි මේක මෙතනදී ගන්නෙ. අපි ඒක වෙනම කැල්කියුලේට් කරනවා. So lump sum amount is liable. So you should mention that amount in the liable column. But you should consider the date it paid. So here we received it in December 15, 2024. So we have to check whether that date is relevant to that year of assessment or not. ඒක හොඳට කල්පනා කරන්න ඕනේ. මෙතන අපි ගණන් දෙනකොට මෙන්න මේ දින මාරු කරලා දෙන්න පුළුවන්. Therefore, you should consider whether that income is received within that year of assessment or not. The next one, that is telephone allowance. Again, we have a term that allowance, telephone allowance. So is it liable? Is it liable for the tax? Is it liable? Telephone allowance. If so, what is the amount? Yes, 180,000, yes. Amount received in cash, 180,000. Yes, very good. Actually, that is an allowance. So if we received allowance, that is the amount we have received in cash. So we have to use this quantification in most cases if we have not received in cash. If we have received in cash, at that time we can use the total amount as a benefit. So this is telephone allowance, 15,000 per month. So we have to multiply it by 12 to calculate the year of assessment amount. Then leave encashment paid on January 20th, 2025, 1,125 rupees. Is it liable? Is it liable? Leave encashment. Leave encashment. Yes, it is liable. Actually, when the accountant, when the accountant making payment for that leave encashment, at that time, he should deduct tax by using table 2. අර ඉස්සෙල්ලා අපේ කවුරු හරි නෝනා කෙනෙක් හරි මහත්තයෙක් හරි කිව්වේ බෝනස් එකට. අන්න ඒ වගේම මේක අපිට ගෙවන කෙනා ගෙවන වෙලාවෙදි පාවිච්චි කරන්නේ ලීව් එන්කෑෂ්මන්ට් වලට සහ බෝනස් වලට ටේබල් 2. ටේබල් 2 ඇප්ලයි කරලා තමයි යා ටැක්ස් එක කපන්නේ. හැබැයි අපි තනියම අපේ ටැක්ස් ලයබිලිටි එක හදනකොට සාමාන්‍ය විදිහට අපි දැන් මේ කියන විදිහට කැල්කියුලේෂන් එක කරලා ටෝටල් එක අපිට ගන්න පුළුවන්. Then entertainment allowance. Entertainment allowance. Entertainment allowance. This also like bonus. Yes, it is also like bonus. Cash leave encashment. So, then entertainment allowance. What about entertainment allowance? Is it liable or not? Entertainment allowance. Liable amount. Yes, liable. So total amount is liable. Entertainment allowance. The term allowance means we are receiving it by cash, in cash. So because of that, all allowances are liable. The next one, he has been provided a rent-free residence. The rent paid by the employer to the landlord is 50,000 per month. 50,000 per month. So what is the amount we have to consider for the taxation to calculate the assessable income of an employment? Housing benefit, 32.5. 260 multiplied by 12.5, 32.5. Is it okay? All others are okay? $50K versus 32.5, whichever is lower. Actually, we have given the lower amount to be used. If that lower amount is if the amount, which amount is lower? It says we can consider, it says like this, where the value specified in 2A. 2A means the table above exceeds the cost incurred by the employer. That means if the amount mentioned in the table exceeds the actual figure, then we can use the lower amount. But here, the calculated amount in the table is lower, but the actual amount is higher. Quantification document says market value is less than the value in the table. In the table, it is a nominal value. In the table, that value is a nominal value. But actual value is higher than that nominal value. The quantification says if that nominal value is higher than the market value, at that time we should consider the lower amount. That means the market value. But here we have given the market value and the table value also there. In the table, there is a value, that is the salary multiplied by 12.5 if it is in the rated area. If it is not in the rated area, then 10%. So because of that, we can consider 50,000 as a benefit because that is the market value. Market value is 50,000. So we can consider, since we have given the market value, we can consider market value. Or sometimes we can consider the lower value in the document because that value also given. That table can be applied. Actually, table can be applied, but market value also there. Then we can consider the market value as a benefit. Then we can move to the next one. His father was admitted to a private hospital for a surgery and discharged on February 5th, 2025. The total bill of 200,000 was settled by his employer. So what is that amount? Who should settle that bill? Who should settle the bill? Mr. Channa Pereira's father's bill should be settled by Mr. Channa Pereira. But on behalf of Mr. Channa Pereira, the employer settled that bill. That means since Mr. Channa Pereira is an employee of that organization, the employer settled the bill. Is it an employee benefit? Is it an employment benefit? Yes, it is an employment benefit because if that Mr. Channa Pereira is not an employee of that organization, at that time, this person will not settle the bill. So he settled the bill since that Mr. Channa Pereira is an employee of that organization. If so, that amount is received by Mr. Channa Pereira as a benefit of that employment. Then we can consider it as a benefit. If you can go to that, you go to refer that section 5 subsection 2, in that document, it is specifically mentioned that uh, if an employee or if that employee is associate person received some amount, that amount also should be considered as an employment benefit. Okay, the last one, medical insurance for premium 90,000 reimbursed by the employer on December 25, 2025. Benefit is available to all employees. So is it liable? Not liable. Uniform payment also falls to the next year of assessment. Okay. So suppose it is for the year of assessment 2024, changed it. I have changed the date, the year, that is 2025. December 2024. That is for December 2024. ඔගොල්ලොන්ගෙත් මේක මාරු කරගන්නකො. ඔගොල්ලන්ගේ ડોකියුමන්ට් එක 2024 කරගන්න. then මොකද වෙන්නේ? Medical insurance for premium. Medical insurance for premium 90,000 reimbursed by the employer on December. That benefit is available to all employees. There is a question that is by Mr. Nali. Yes, that is true. Actually, we can consider the salary multiplied by 12.5%, 5%, but we have given that table if we cannot ascertain the market value, if we cannot identify the market value. So we call it quantification. So in this case, we have given the market value. That is why we can consider 50,000. So at that time, we don't have that hard and fast rule. But if we can identify, if we can consider the market value, at that time we can consider market value. But here we have given that table. In that table, we have given that we can apply salary multiplied by 12.5%. So it is also applicable. So you can mention in your document when you are answering the assumption. So this is market value is already given. So we know the market value. Therefore, we can apply, we can consider 50,000 as a benefit. Or you can say, even though there is a market value, actually this is a benefit, housing benefit. So because of that, in the quantification document, it has given in the table to apply salary multiplied by 12.5%, then we can apply that amount. You can mention any assumption. මෙතනදී අපිට මේ දෙකම කරන්න පුළුවන්. සාමාන්‍යයෙන් අපිට කියලා තියෙනවා මාකට් වැලියු එක ඇසටේන් කරන්න බැරි වෙලාවට මේක යන්න. හැබැයි සමහර වෙලාවට මාකට් වැලියු එක ඇසටේන් කරන්න පුළුවන් වුණත් අපිට ටේබල් එක ඇප්ලයි කරන්නත් පුළුවන්. කිසිම ඉෂුව එකක් නැහැ. So it depends on you. හැබැයි employer මේක කරනකොට ගොඩාක් වෙලාවට salary එකට 12.5% දාලා apply කරන්න පුළුවන්. No issue. The last one, you have mentioned this one, where the value specified in 2A above exceeds the cost incurred by the employer or market value of the place of residence, then the value whichever is lower shall be the value of benefit of such employee. මේක හොඳට කියවලා බලලා මට කියන්න. අපි කියන අපේ ওই ගානේ තියෙන පැත්ත ගැනද කතා කරන්නේ ඕකේ අනිත් පැත්තද කතා කරන්නේ කියලා. vice versa නෑ මේකේ. මේක දෙපැත්තටම ගන්න කියලා නෑ. මොකද්ද කියන්නේ? Where the value specified in 2A above. 2A above means in the table. Table exceeds the cost incurred by the employer or market value. That means sometimes in very rural area, the market value of a house is very low. Low market values are there. But when we are applying the table, at that time, the nominal value will be higher than the actual market value. So at that time, we have given this document, it says to apply the lowest amount. Then we can apply the market value. දැන් මේකේ කියලා තියෙන එකේ අනිත් පැත්ත කියලා මම හිතන්නේ තේරෙනවා ඇති. Okay, I think you can understand. So then the last one, medical insurance for premium. Yes, this is uniformly applicable to all employees in that organization. So because of that, this is tax exempt. This is tax exempt. If this is not applicable to all employees in that organization, it is tax liable. So I have changed the year. Earlier it was 2025, but it is for 2024. If it is for 2024, I think it is within the year of assessment. Then we can say that is not liable. But if it is for 2025, then we can say both it is not liable as well. It is not for the relevant year of assessment. So I requested you to change the year as 2024. So I think now you can understand how to calculate assessable income from employment. Okay, if you have any question, you can ask now before we are leaving from question 1 to question 2. Okay, what is the last figure? That means what is the assessable income from employment according to your calculation? Rifkan. Rifhan, yes. Your answer is correct. 5,675,000. හැමෝටම ආවද මේ ආන්සර් එක? කොතනද වැරදුනේ? Okay, then we can move to the next question. Mrs. Sumudu Ratnayaka, MBBS doctor, attached to a private hospital in Sri Lanka. Primary employment declaration made to this place. She has another contract of employment with another private hospital. So it is second employer. To work 2 nights per week and Sunday full. Employment income from primary employer. So you have given these details. So now you have to calculate for these two situations. One is for the primary employment. Then you have to calculate for the secondary employment in the same table. So again, you should have a table with 4 columns. First column should be a little bit bigger because you have to mention the description. Then second column for income, third column for exempt or excluded amounts, final column for liable income. Then again you have a basic salary per month after deducting 8%. To the provident fund, and the employer's contribution to this fund is at 12% on the gross basic salary. The fund has been approved by the CGIR. So what is the purpose of giving that sentence? The fund has been approved by the CGIR. Then only we can consider that income as an exempt income. Otherwise, it is not exempt. You can go to section 5 and schedule 3. In the schedule, it has mentioned the exempt amounts are mentioned. In addition to that, in my presentation also, I have mentioned these details. So you can refer later. Then we can start calculating the tax liability of Dr. Sumudu. Then what is the salary that we should consider for the assessable income? Calculate that liability. You have given basic salary and after deducting 8%. So 180,320 is net basic salary, not the gross basic salary. You should, first of all, you should calculate gross basic salary. Then you should calculate uh, employer's contribution. Then you have to mention these two figures in the relevant columns. Okay, start the calculation and give me the answers. Yes, Jivanta, your answer is correct. That is 2,352,000. That is correct. So that is the figure that is for the liable income. So that is, you should mention that amount in the income column and as well in the liable column. That is 3,252,000. I think all of you calculated the amount. You should you should divide this 180,000 by 92 and multiply by 8. Then multiply by 12 to calculate the value for the year of assessment. That is the liable amount. So this provident fund is approved by the CGIR. Therefore, the employer's contribution is tax exempt. That is 12% is tax exempt. So it should be under exempt column. The exempt amount is 282,240. I will share this answer sheet with you. So don't worry, but you have to calculate by your own. Then definitely it will be in your mind always. මොකද අපි මමම කිව්වොත් තනිකරම උත්තරේ ඔයගලන්ට විභාගෙට හදන්න බැරි වෙනවා. The next one. Dr. Sumudhu uses a vehicle for official traveling as well as private traveling. Employer reimbursed her official traveling. The total of such reimbursement is 384,000. හරි මේකට මොකද වෙන්නේ? Read this sentence carefully. Then tell me whether that is liable or not. I need one or two more answers. If it is her own vehicle, then not liable. If the vehicle provided by the employer, then it will be taxable amount. Yes, liable. මම මේ උත්තර මේ අපේ නෝනල මහතුරු දෙන උත්තර කියවන්නේ. මගේ උත්තරේ නෙවෙයි. It's a reimbursement. Liable. It's like transport allowance. Hmm. If the vehicle provided by the employer, then it will be taxable. If it's provided, we need to apply the table and it's 20K per month. තව උත්තර තියෙනවද? Dr. Sumutu uses a vehicle. Suppose it is her own vehicle. Suppose it is her own vehicle. She pay for the petrol and she is going for official traveling as well as private traveling. Suppose it is her own vehicle. The employer reimbursed her official traveling. Is it a benefit to her or he reimbursed it? He's just reimbursed it. That means the employer paid the amount she incurred for the purpose of that official tour. නිකන් හිතලා බලන්නකො. අපි අපේ ගෙදර වාහනේ පාවිච්චි කරලා ඔෆිෂියල් ටුවර් එකක් යනවා. එතකොට මම පෙට්‍රල් ගහගෙන යනවා. ගිහින් ආවට පස්සේ මම ඔෆිෂියල් ටුවර් එක වෙනුවෙන් ගහපු පෙට්‍රල් වලට මට සල්ලි දෙනවා. ඒක මට බෙනිෆිට් එකක්ද ටැක්ස් කරන්න? Is it a benefit to me? Suppose that vehicle is provided by the employer and she spent for fuel. ආයතනෙන් දෙන වාහනයක් එයා ඒකේ තෙල් ගහගෙන ගමනක් මේ ප්‍රයිම් ඔෆිෂියල් ටුවර් එකක් ගිහිල්ලා එනවා. ඒ ඔෆිෂියල් ටුවර් එකට ගහපු තෙල් වලට සල්ලි ටික එම්ප්ලොයර් දෙනවා. In the first scenario, that vehicle is Dr. Sumudu's. In the second scenario, that vehicle is owned by the employer. Is it make a sense? අපිට අදාළද ඒක? වාහනේ කාගේද කියන්න? Dr. Sumudu spent some amount for official purpose. Some amount for official purpose. That amount reimbursed by the employer. Dr. Sumudu spent some amount for her private use. හිතන්නකෝ එයා ට්‍රිප් එකක් යනවා. ඩොක්ටර් සුමුදු ට්‍රිප් එකක් යනවා. මේ ට්‍රිප් එකට අදාළ පෙට්‍රල් බිල එයාගේ එම්ප්ලොයර් දෙනවා. the employer reimbursed the fuel expenditure incurred by Dr. Sumudu for her private use. Then මේ situation දෙක වෙන් කරලා බලන්න. මොකද්ද? What is the difference between the first situation and the second situation? It is not necessary to consider whether this vehicle is Dr. Sumudu's or or employer's vehicle. It doesn't matter. කාගේ වුණත් කමන්නේ වාහනය. The expenditures incurred by Dr. Sumudu. In the first scenario, that is for a official purpose. In the second scenario, it is for a private purpose. ඔෆිස් එකේ වැඩක් වෙනුවෙන් මම වියදම් කරනවා. ඒක employer මට දෙනවා. මගේ පුද්ගලික දෙයක් වෙනුවෙන් මම වියදම් කරනවා. employer ඒකත් මට දෙනවා. Which one is the benefit for Dr. Sumudu? Which one is the benefit? Both are reimbursements, but the situation is too different. The first one is Sumudu incurred for official purpose. The second one is Sumudu incurred for private purpose. So for the official purpose he incurred and reimbursed, is it a benefit? Or if Dr. Sumudu incurs for private purpose and employer reimbursed it, is it a benefit to her? Two situations. Okay, I think now you can understand. හොඳටම තේරුණාද ඒ දෙකේ වෙනස? You should understand how it will be a benefit. Okay. Now you can understand to determine whether an income is a benefit or not. අපිට benefit එකක් වෙන්නේ මොන අවස්ථාවකද benefit එකක් වෙනවාද කියලා තේරුම් ගත්තොත් අපිට මේ නීතියේ කියලා තියෙනවද නැද්ද කියලා බලන්න ඕනේ නෑ. Then we can determine whether it is a benefit or not. Okay. This is a reimbursement, but that expenditure is incurred for the official use. So that is not liable. Suppose, okay, then go to the next one. Her residential telephone bill and mobile bills are also reimbursed. Such reimbursements made to her was 96,000. Okay. Now tell me whether this is liable or not. Okay. Telephone bills. Okay, I have several answers. Telephone bills reimbursed, liable at 50%. Liable. Liable if it is totally used for her own. Liable. Liable if it is a cash payment. It is a reimbursement. Reimbursement of the telephone bill. It is a reimbursement of telephone bill. So if that reimbursement is for the telephone that she uses for partly for official and partly for private, then 50% is liable. The other 50 is not liable. So we have to consider how she used these telephones. So her residential telephone bill and mobile bills are also reimbursed. Such reimbursements made to her was 96,000. So if it is a telephone allowance, condition is different. So here, telephone bills are reimbursed. That means expenditure reimbursement. So it has not mentioned whether she uses this telephone for her official use and private use both. So you can assume that the telephone is used for private use and public use. Then 50% can be applied. February 5th, 2025, her mother was hospitalized at the same hospital and discharged on February 8th, 2025. The total bill was 248,000, out of which 50% had been waived off as per the service contract. Okay. Then what happened? So tell me whether this is liable income or not. If it is liable, what is the amount? Okay, tell me whether it is liable or not. And if it is liable, what is the amount? Yes, it is liable, but yes, liable, 50% liable, because 50% is the waived off amount. So waived off amount is 50%. So that 50% is liable, because that is the benefit she was granted by her employer. The next one, she has been provided a rent-free residence near the hospital. The rent paid by the employer to the landlord is 60,000 per month, and the rating assessment of this house is 200,000, on which 20% rates are paid by the owner. Yes, we can say 60,000 multiplied by 20. If I remove this part, then you have to calculate the residence benefit. අපි මේක නෑ කියලා හිතමු. මේක ඇල මං අයින් කරා. දැන් කීයද benefit එක? Now what is the benefit? මේ ටිකත් අයින් කරන්න. Now what is the benefit? Now what is the benefit? Then we have to go to the basic salary. The basic salary. What is the basic salary? Basic salary multiply by 12.5%. Then we have to consider the value. What is the amount? What is the basic salary per month? 24.5. Yes, multiply by 12, 296. Okay. So if I remove this part, then you have to calculate the housing benefit using the salary. Salary means basic salary. So you have given the salary. You should calculate the gross salary. So gross basic salary. To that gross basic salary, you should multiply by 12.5%. Then you will receive some amount. That amount should be multiplied by 12. අපි ඒ ගාන එහෙම හදමු. මේ ටික අයින් කරොත් මොකද එක ගානක් හැදුවානේ මාකට් වැලියු දාලා අනිත් එක මේ විදිහට දාලා හදමු. Then you can calculate the housing benefit like that. Then the last one, medical insurance payment was reimbursed by the employer. Benefit is available to all employees. The amount reimbursed was 52,000 on 25th January 2020. Sorry, 2020. Wait, 2023. 2023. No, 2024. 2024. The amount was reimbursed on 2020, 52,000 on 25. The benefit is available to all employees, therefore, it is excluded. It is excluded. Not them, but it is excluded. So we should not consider it for the benefit. Yes, not applicable. Okay. Then now we have already calculated primary employment. Now we can go to the second part, that is employment income from second employer. During the year of assessment, Dr. Sumudhu was paid in cash rupees 109,250 per month. So she has received this amount. The second employer, when deducting APIT of Miss Dr. Sumudhu, she should apply table 7 for the calculation of these amounts, these all amounts. But since this calculation is done by Dr. Sumudhu, it is not necessary to apply table 7. She can calculate it using this kind of Excel format. The next one, she has been given a motor vehicle without driver. Now she has received a motor vehicle. So what is the benefit for this motor vehicle? What is the benefit? So what is the amount given in that table? Since this is a motor vehicle means no market value mentioned in this document. We cannot see any market value mentioned in this document. So we can apply that table in the quantification document. So if it is only a vehicle, 20,000. If with driver, 10,000 should be added. If it is with fuel, another 20,000 should be included. So here only the vehicle is given. Therefore, only for the vehicle that is 20,000, 20,000 is for a month. So we have to multiply it by 12. Then we will have 240 as a motor vehicle benefit. The last one, telephone allowance, 15,000 per month. Telephone allowance, 15,000 per month. So what is the, first of all, tell me whether this is liable figure or not. Then what is the amount if it is liable? Okay. What is the, tell me, this telephone allowance, 15,000, whether it is liable or not. If it is liable, what is the amount? Liable or not? If it is liable, I need more answers. මට බොහොම දෙන්නෙකුගේ තුන් දෙනෙකුගේ විතරයි නම් පේන්නේ හැම වෙලාවෙම answers වලට. අනිත් අයට තේරෙන්නේ නැති නිසාද? කම්මැලි නිසාද? කියද උත්තරේ? Telephone allowance. Is it liable? If liable, what is the amount? Yes, that is 180,000. So what is the difference between telephone allowance and telephone reimbursement or telephone bill payment? What is the difference between that two? If it is a telephone allowance, yes, I have an answer. Yes, that is 180,000. So I want to know whether you can understand the difference between telephone allowance and telephone reimbursement. Telephone allowance and telephone reimbursement. Yes, actual bills paid is reimbursement. Then the liability, the difference between the liability, tax liability. Allowance is fixed amount, yes. Yes, allowance is a fixed amount. Reimbursement is an actual amount. That's true. So what is the difference between the tax liability? The tax liability. I want to know the difference between the tax liability. Yes, this is the actual real answer I need. 50% for reimbursement and for allowance, that is 100%. That means if it is an allowance, telephone allowance, vehicle allowance, entertainment allowance, fuel allowance, any allowance, we should consider the total amount because that is in cash we will receive. That is total amount 100% we should consider as tax liable. But if it is a reimbursement, if it is telephone reimbursement, then only 50% can be considered. For other expenses, that means for vehicle and other expenses, at that time also, if it is a reimbursement, we can consider total amount. Mainly if it is a reimbursement for telephone, then 50% should be considered. That if it is used for partly official and partly private. So when we are receiving telephone allowance, we do not consider whether that is for official purpose or for private purpose. Total amount tax at 100%. Okay. Then what is the assessable income from employment of Dr. Sumudu? What is the total? Mm, okay, I will share the answer sheet. Then you can check your answers with the document I provided. And some cases, assumptions can be made if I have not actually mentioned. Okay. This is question number 3. Now we can move to that question and you can answer this question. මේකට උත්තරේ හදන්න බලන්න තනියම. සමානයි කලින් කරපුවා විදියමයි චූටි වෙනස්කම් ඇති. තනියම කැල්කියුලේට් කරන්න. Okay. We can start the calculation. This is Mr. Heshan Perera is a chartered accountant working as head of finance for a large firm in Sri Lanka. The following information related to his income is available for the year of assessment 24-25. You have given basic salary, that is 202,400. After deducting 8% to the provident fund, and the employer's contribution to this fund is 12% on the gross basic salary. He has given, so you know how to calculate this. Divided by 90 to multiply by 8. Then the answer should be multiplied by 12, that is 2,640,000. Then employer's contribution. So I have not mentioned whether this is Commissioner General approved or not. You can put an assumption, make an assumption that this is an approved fund. Then the next one, he has given motor vehicle without driver. Motor vehicle without driver. So motor vehicle without driver. So we can assume with fuel or not. If it is with fuel, then you should consider 20 plus 20. Oh, yes, there is a. He has given motor vehicle without driver. So without driver means 20. If it is only vehicle, that is 20. Then with driver, another 10,000 should be added. With fuel, another 20 should be added. If it is without driver means, you can assume if it is with driver, if it is with vehicle, fuel, that means motor vehicle plus fuel. Then you should consider 20 plus another 20. Or if you assumed it as only motor vehicle, then 20,000. It depends according to your assumption. Okay, that is good. Fuel allowance is given. Okay, that is good. Fuel allowance is given. So we cannot assume that fuel has been given with motor vehicle. So we can assume that this is only motor vehicle. Then 20,000. 20,000 multiplied by 12. Then fuel allowance, that is 50,000 per month. Now you know that is an allowance. Allowance means it is not necessary to apply that table because this is an allowance. So we know the exact amount given. Therefore, we should consider total 50,000, that is per month. So you have to multiply it by 12. The next one, bonus paid on December 24th, 2024, based on the previous year profit, 250. So, should we consider that 250 or not? Bonus, 250. Is it a part of the assessable income or not? bonus based on the previous year profit. Yes, even though that is based on the previous year profit, so I have an answer. Yes, we have to consider it during for this period. Even though this bonus is based on the previous year profit, we received it during this year of assessment. So we have to consider cash basis for the employment income. So we have to consider that bonus for this year of assessment. Then telephone allowance 20,000 per month. Telephone allowance, it is an allowance. So 20,000 multiplied by 20,000 multiplied by, sorry, 50,000 multiplied by 12. That is for, no, telephone allowance 20,000 multiplied by 12. That is 240. Then entertainment allowance. Entertainment allowance 15,000. Is it taxable? Entertainment allowance 15,000. Yes, it is an allowance. Telephone allowance 100%, entertainment allowance 100%, fuel allowance 100%. This because it is an allowance. Then entertainment allowance 15,000. So multiply by 12, that is 180. He has been provided a rent-free residence in rated area. So now you have to calculate. Now you have to calculate the tax liability of this rent residence. So calculate it. What is the residence benefit? What is the amount? Refund. Why 336? Why 336? Jivanta, that is 330. It is correct. 336. Why? 220. 220. How did you got it? Typing error. Yes, it should be 330. Yes, that's good. It is 330. I think others also can understand. මට මේ නෝනලා මහතුරු දෙතුන් දෙනෙකුගෙන් විතරයි රිප්ලයි එන්නේ. අනිත් අයට තේරෙන්නේ නැතුවද කියලා චුට්ටක් කියන්න. මොකද එක්සෑම් එකට මිඩ් එක්සෑම් එකට එම්ප්ලොයිමන්ට් ඉන්කම් එකෙන් තමයි එන්නේ. මේන්ලි අනිත් ඒවත් එනවා. ඒත් මේ ටික තේරුම් නැති වුනහම ආයි අමාරුයි. අනිත් අයට තේරිලාද මේ සද්ද නැතුව ඉන්නේ කියලා චුට්ටක් මට කියන්න. තේරෙන්නේ නැත්නම් ආයි අහන්න. Yes, that is 330. Then his wife was admitted to private hospital for a surgery and total telephone hospital bill is 160, settled by his employer on January 20th, 2025. So you know it is 160 should be considered as a benefit. Then his school fees 100,000 was paid on September 5th, 2025 by the employer. So son's hospital bill also paid by that employer. ඒක මොකක්ද? son's hospital bill එකත් pay කරලා. That is also a benefit to that employee. Therefore, we have to consider it is also school fee. Yes, school fee should be considered as a benefit. The next one, telephone, residential telephone bills and mobile bills are also reimbursed. Such reimbursement was 92,000. Again, the previous answer. So that is a reimbursement. That is a reimbursement. Taxed at 50%. That is good. Taxed at 50%. We can assume that that telephones are used partly for official and partly for residential. Hospital fee, fully or 50%. So why do we total hospital bill? So yeah, here total bill is settled by the employer. So for total amount 100% should be a liable income. In the previous one, 50% was waived off. That means he has given that discount, that is for 50,000 discount was given. So that at that time, අපි 50,000 එතන සැලකුවේ 50,000 තමයි benefit එක උනේ ඒ නිසා. So for the hospital bill, we should consider total amount. Understood? Okay. Then medical insurance premium 90,000 reimbursed by the employer on January 2025. Benefit is not available to all employees. ඔන්න දැන් වෙනස පේන්න ඕනේ. Not available to all employees. Yes, this is liable fully because it is not uniformly applicable. If it is uniformly applicable, then we can exclude that amount. So if I have not mentioned this sentence within the bracket one, then you can assume. හිතන්නකො බැරි වෙලාවත් මේ පාර්ට් එක ගැන මම සද්ද නැතුව හිටියා කියලා. එහෙනම් ඔයගලට assume කරන්න පුළුවන්. You can make an assumption. You can say this is we assume that this is fully uniformly applicable to all employees. Therefore, this is excluded. Or you can make an assumption that this is not available for all full-time employees. Because of that, this is liable. So likewise, you can make assumptions. That assumption should be realistic. Then you are required to calculate employment benefit. So I will share the documents. Then you can compare your answers with the document. Then if you have any issue with the answers, then you can ask me. Okay, thank you very much for the appreciation. So I will share the document after this session. So then we can discuss the answers, because otherwise I have to move to Excel format, then again to the Word document. Therefore, it takes some time. So we can do it after this calculation. So this is how we have to calculate the tax liability of this person. 4,881,200. So let's see after that, after this session, end of this session. Okay. So the final one. Okay. Okay. Shall we move to the next one, or do you have some questions regarding this? Yes, good. Assumed provident fund is approved by the CGIR. Then you can mention the employer's contribution as excluded amount. If it is not approved, this amount. Now, let's see. Okay. Then we can move to the next question. Next one. Mr. Disanayaka is working as an additional Director General of a department. So now, up to now, we have calculated tax liability of a private sector employees. Now we are moving to a government sector employee. So that person is additional Director General of a department. So you should know the difference between the private sector employee and a government sector employee, because some concessions are provided for government sector employees. So when we are calculating this one, you can understand the difference between that two employees. Okay. Try to calculate the tax liability of these two. Mr. Disanaik. Okay, we can start. So I have only one answer from Mr. Rifan, Mr. or Mrs. Oh, I don't know. Yes, Rifan. So there is only one answer, but I need to explain few things. Okay, we will do it when we are calculating this question. The first one is Mr. Disanaka is additional director general of a department. So he is a government servant. According to the salary slip, department has paid following amounts to Mr. Disanaka in each month. Basic salary. So basic salary is given. The basic salary, so that is 150,000. Yes, I have another answer. Answer, I have 160, 93,000, 180,000. What is 1,005? Vehicle and fuel loss 1,005. Incentive 1,275. Then total employment income 490. Personal relief taxable. Oh, she had, or total personal relief also given. So for 24, 25. Okay, we will discuss it later. Okay, then basic salary. Okay, suppose this is gross salary. So 150,000 multiplied by 20 should be taken. So here I have not mentioned anything about that. So total amount should be considered. Basic salary is considered this as a gross salary. Then 150,000 multiplied by 20. Then telephone allowance. Telephone allowance. If you have that document, quantification document, can you please go to that document? If you have the document, that is quantification. Communication. For the communication, uh, yes, telephone allowance. Under item number 4, where any employee is entitled to receive a payment for communication facilities under any circular by the government, the 25% of the cost incurred by the employer for some should be considered as a benefit. So I wanted to tell you these concessions for employment under government, employer under government sector. So this is additional director general. Additional director generals means a higher position of the department. So additional director general, director generals, additional director generals, commissioners, uh, who the uh, senior additional secretaries, like that. There are a lot of government servants. They are receiving this kind of allowances, fuel and all other things based on that government circular. So that is why I have given you this question number 4. In this question, it says this person is working as additional director general. So under that circular, he is entitled to receive this communication facility. So telephone facility is 5,000 per month, but only 25% is liable for tax. If that person is a government servant and that government servant's position is mentioned under that circular, he or she is liable to pay only 25% of the telephone allowance. So that is a special benefit provided to the government sector. So because of that, this total 5,000 is not liable, but 25% of this 5,000 is liable for the tax, for the liable for the assessable income. So we cannot consider total amount, but 25% should be considered and it should be multiplied by 12 to calculate the yearly amount. Then cost of living. Cost of living total is tax liable should be multiplied by 12. Then after that, professional allowance also total amount is liable. That is 15,000 multiplied by 12. Total amount is liable. Then vehicle and fuel allowance. Vehicle and fuel allowance, that is 125,000. That 125,000 also liable only up to 25%. So it has given in the quantification document. If a government servant receives vehicle allowance or fuel allowance, at that time, only 25% is liable for taxation. එතකොට මේක හොඳට මතක තියාගන්න මේ තනතුර රජයේ කෙනෙක් නම් ඒ රජයේ කෙනා ඉහළ නිලධාරියෙක් නම් තමයි මේ සර්කියුලර් එකේ තියෙන්නේ. ඒකෙන් මම අදහස් කරන්නේ සාමාන්‍යයෙන් සර්කියුලර් එකක ඉෂුව කරලා තියෙනවා. මේ සර්කියුලර්ස් වල දාලා තියෙනවා පොසිෂන්. එතන මේ පොසිෂන් වල දැන් මේ අලවන්ස් එක සාමාන්‍යයෙන් ක්ලාස් 1 ක්ලාස් 1 grade 1 වගේ පොසිෂන් වල ඉඳලා උඩායට තමයි මේස් එක හම්බ වෙන්නේ. එතකොට හැම පොසිෂන් එකකම කෙනෙක්ට හම්බ වෙන්නේ නැහැ. එතකොට සාමාන්‍යයෙන් ඇඩිෂනල් ඩිරෙක්ටර් ජෙනරල් කෙනෙක් වුවම ටිකක් ගොඩක් ඉහළ පොසිෂන් එකක්. එතකොට ගවර්න්මන්ට් සර්වන්ට් කෙනෙක් ක්ලාස් 1 grade 1 පොසිෂන් වල හිටියොත් අන්න ඒ අයට මේ ස්පෙෂල් කන්සෙෂන් එක තියෙනවා. එතනින් පහළ අයට තියෙන්නේ ගොඩක් වෙලාවට ගෲප් ට්‍රාන්ස්පෝර්ට් වගේ. ඒ අයට මේ vehicle allowance, fuel allowance කියන එක entitled නැහැ. ඒකට ඔයගලන්ට ගාන හදනකොට සැකයක් තියෙනවා නම් ඔයගලන්ට assumption එකක් දාන්න පුළුවන්. This position is applicable for a concessionary rate, concessionary vehicle and telephone allowance කියලා. ඔයගලන්ට එහෙම සැකයක් තියෙනවා නම් එහෙම assumption එකක් ලියලා මේක දෙන්නත් පුළුවන්. හැබැයි මේ වගේ ඉහළ තනතුරක ඉන්න කෙනෙකුට ඔයගොල්ලෝ ලියන්න එපා. එහෙම assume කරලා. මොකද එහෙම assume කරන්න බෑ සාමාන්‍යයෙන් ඉහළ තනතුරක ඉන්න කෙනෙක්ට. ඒක ඉතින් සාමාන්‍යයෙන් ගවර්න්මන්ට් සර්වන්ට් කෙනෙක් නම් මේ තනතුර ඉහළයි කියලා දන්නවා. සමහර වෙලාවට ප්‍රයිවට් සෙක්ටර් කෙනෙක්ට මේ ගවර්න්මන්ට් පොසිෂන් අයිඩෙන්ටිෆයි කරගන්න අමාරු වෙන්න පුළුවන්. එතකොට ඒ වගේ අවස්ථාවක මෙහිම ගැටලු වෙන්න පුළුවන්. හැබැයි අපි ගානේ කියලා නැත්නම් you can assume that this position is mentioned under the circular කියලා. ඒතර circular එකේ mention කරපු කෙනෙක් නම් එයාට මේක හිමි. එතකොට අර මම කියනෝනේ always I am saying that it should be mentioned reasonable assumptions. reasonable වෙන්න ඕන assumption එක. මෙතන මම දැක්කා කවුද මේ ඉස්සෙල්ලා ගාන හදපු එකේ මෙතන ලියලා තිබුණා refund ලියලා තිබුණා assumed vehicle fuel is not provided for his position as an entitlement කියලා. ඇත්තටම මෙතන not provided කියලා කියන්න බෑ. We cannot say it because in the question it has already given that vehicle allowance. Here it says following amounts to Mr. Disanaik according to the slip department has paid. That means the department has already paid vehicle and fuel allowance. So it has mentioned. So because of that, again, you cannot assume that it is not entitlement. අපිට දීලා ඉවර වෙච්ච දෙයකට අපිට කියන්න බෑනේ entitled නැහැ කියලා. Because the department has already paid it. 15K and 45K exempted. 15 taxed and 45. 15 taxed and 45. What is the 45 one? For telephone allowance, yes. For the telephone allowance, 45 is exempt, 15 is tax. That is true. Yes, okay. For the telephone allowance, it is okay. Then fuel and vehicle and fuel allowance, only 25% of this 125,000 is liable, liable. The 75% is excluded. So we can remove that part and exclude. That means in the third column you can mention it. පැහැදිලි නේද මං කියන එක? මෙයා ගවර්න්මන්ට් සර්වන්ට් කෙනෙක්. ඒ ගවර්න්මන්ට් සර්වන්ට්ස් ලගේ ඉහළම තනතුරක දරන කෙනෙක්. සාමාන්‍යයෙන් ගත්තොත් ක්ලාස් 1 එහෙම නැත්නම් ග්‍රේඩ් 1 තනතුරක ඉඳලා උඩට ඉන්න හැමෝටම vehicle and fuel allowances හිමි. දැන් ડોක්ටර් කෙනෙක් ගත්තොත් ડોක්ටර්ස්ලාට vehicle allowance එක හිමි නෑ. ඒගොල්ලන්ට vehicle allowance fuel allowance නෑ. lecturers ලා ගත්තොත් vehicle allowance fuel allowances හිමි නෑ. අනිත් ඒවා තියෙන්න පුළුවන්. lecturers ලා ගත්තොත් academic allowance වගේ වෙන allowances තියෙන්න පුළුවන්. That is specific to that position. එතකොට මෙන්න මේ වගේ මෙතන දීලම තියෙන නිසා please don't assume because I have already mentioned that this person has already received that vehicle and fuel allowance. Then during the month of September 24 and March 25, the department has paid incentive 6,000 and 675,000. That both are taxable, liable for for year of assessment 24-25. So now we can calculate the tax liability. 1.8 million is liable. So that is 150,000 multiplied by 20. Then 3,700. Yes, that is correct. According to my calculation, this is correct. 3,738,600. මටත් වරදිනවා ගණනය කරනකොට අපි බලමු උත්තරත් එක්ක. Okay. So this is the answer for this question. I want to answer for the answer given by 202 50 64. That is the number, no name. So in that document, in that answer, personal relief was given 1.8. So we are calculating the tax liability for 24-25. එතකොට මතක තියාගන්න ඕනේ 24 25 මෙතන හොඳයි මේ calculation එක කරපු කෙනා personal relief also given but several mistakes are in the calculation part. Assessable income, assess total and employment income part, some corrections should be made. I want to tell you only about this personal relief. For the year of assessment 24-25, personal relief is not 1.8 but 1.2. අන්න ඒක තමයි මට මෙතනින් කියන්න ඕනේ. ඉතුරු ඒවල පොඩි අඩුපාඩු මම දැන් කතා කරා. So it should be corrected. Then ජීවන්තගේ answer එකත් මගේ answer එකටම හරියනවා. තව තියෙනවා මෙතනත් තියෙනවා 3 million මෙතනත් කවුද refund ඒකත් ඒ answer එක හරි. එතකොට මෙතන මේ assumption is not correct because all that facility is already given. Then another question that is not related to this one. So after this session, I will explain it. Okay, so this answer is for question number 4. Then you have given question number 5. ඒක චුට්ටක් දිගයි. Uh, I will explain one by one. After that, you have to calculate the tax liability of Mr. Veerasinghe. Before that, I am going to answer the question raised by Lalit. So the question is, Madam, this is not related to the lesson. If we receive an invoice for lawyer fee with two lines, lawyer fee 500,000 and reimbursable expenses 50,000. Do we need to deduct withholding tax? That means 5% for 550 or 500,000. 550,000. It is for 550,000 because the total amount is considered as that service fee. Even though that is one part is for the reimbursable expenditure, total amount is the service fee. So because of that, 5% should be deducted for 550,000. We can ignore only the VAT amount. If they have included VAT amount, only that part can be ignored. All other parts that we are paying as a fee to that kind of persons, freelancers, professionals. If that payment is for a doctor, lawyer, software engineer, like that, there are some special categories. If we are making payment to that kind of special category, even though they have mentioned their uh, fee in two lines, for total amount, we have to apply 5%. හරිද ලලිත් ඒක? ලලිත් මහතාට ඒක තේරෙන්නේ නැති ඉන්නව නේද තාම? හරි. Okay. Then what else? Yes. Okay. Now we can move to the last question. That is Mr. Veerasinghe's question. He is working as general manager of reputed company which is in importing and selling motor cars. You are giving following income particulars of him for a year of assessment 24-25. According to the salary slips, company has paid following amounts to Mr. Veerasinghe in each month. So basic salary 225,000. Here, before deducting the EPF, here I have given before deducting. In the previous one, I have given after deducting. මෙන්න මේ වචන ගැන විභාගයේදී සැලකිලිමත් වෙන්න. Before deducting or after deducting. We have to consider gross amount, not the net amount. After deducting means we have deducted 8% and here we have net amount. In the last question, I have given you the before deducting ETF. That means this is the gross amount. So it is not necessary to divide this 225 amount by 92 and multiply by 100 because this is already given. The gross amount is already given. It is therefore not necessary to recalculate the gross amount. You can multiply directly this amount by 12 to consider the yearly amount. Then company EPF contribution, you can assume that this is approved by the Commissioner General. Then entertainment allowance, this is an allowance. So total is liable and 25,000 per month because it is mentioned in each month here. දැන් මේ හැම තැනකම තියෙන වචන ගැන සැලකිලිමත් වෙන්න. මේක තියෙන්නේ මාන්ත් එකකට. ගාන හදනකොට විභාගෙට හරිය ලස්සනට ගණන් හදලා තියෙනවා. ඔයගොල්ලන්ගේ ඔය ඉම්පැක්ට් එකේ ළමයින්ගේ උත්තර බලනකොට හරියම ආසයි. මම දරුවන්ටත් පෙන්නන මේ බාන්න පුතේ කට්ටියගේ හරිය ලස්සනයි. ඇත්තටම මම අපේ ඔෆිස් එකේ ළමයින්ට උගන්වනවා. ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ පේපර්ස් වත් ආන්සර්ස් වත් මෙච්චර ලස්සන නැහැ. හරිම ලස්සනට ලියනවා. හරි නීට් එකට ලස්සනට. හැබැයි අමතක වෙන තැන් තමයි මේ. මේක දෙන්නේ monthly මේක වැඩි කරන්න ඕනේ 12 වලින් කියලා අමතකයි සමහරවිට. එතකොට monthly ඒවා monthly කියලා පැහැදිලිව තියෙනවා. monthly කියලා ලියලා නැත්නම් අවුරුද්දට සැරයක් නම් ඒවා monthly නෙවෙයි. Is sometimes is a bonus. So for the bonus we are not mentioned it is monthly. monthly හම්බෙන එකක් නෙවෙයිනේ bonus. Leave encashment it is not for monthly. All other benefits not monthly, but some benefits are receiving monthly. So remember each and every word included mentioned in the question. හරිම වැදගත්. අපිට පනත කියවුවත් පනතේ තියෙන හැම වචනයක්ම වැදගත්. එතකොට ගානක් කියවනකොටත් ඒ වගේමයි. මෙතන තනතුර පටන් ගන්නකොටම තනතුර position, whether that person is in private sector or public sector, අන්න ඒව ගැන දැනුව තියෙන්න ඕන. General knowledge, additional director general means a higher position. It is not necessary to mention that he is included in that circular. But ඒත් ඔයගොල්ලෝ නොදන්නව වෙන්න පුළුවන් හින්දා මං කිව්වේ අන්නේ general knowledge තියෙන්න ඕනේ. ගණන පැහැදිලිව කියවන්න ඕනේ. Then during the month of December 2024, company had declared and paid a bonus which is equal to 3 times of the basic salary. So now you have given the basic salary. You can multiply this basic salary in 3 because it is equal to 3 times. So you should calculate the amount of bonus. Bonus amount එක දීලා නැහැ. You should calculate the amount of bonus. Then based on the number of cars sold by the company in year 2020, in 2022, he has given a sales commission amounting to 480 on April 10, 2024. So April 10. April 10, 2024. So that is in the same year of assessment. Company has provided a vehicle with a driver to Mr. Veera Singha. Engine capacity of the motor vehicle is 1800. Actually, engine capacity is not a matter. අපිට ඒක අදාළ නැහැ. Company has provided vehicle with driver. Vehicle with driver. So for the vehicle 20,000, for the driver 10,000. That amount should be 30,000 should be multiplied by 12. Then company has provided a house in Maharagama to him. Net annual value of the house is 180 and rates payable on gross rental 10%. Company has paid 60,000 in each month as rent to the tenant and deducted 5,000 from his salary. So you have given the market value of this house, and this is the market value. This is the amount company paid to the landlord, but company owner collected 5,000 from the salary. Okay. House in Maharagama. So all from net annual value to 10% is not relevant to this question, but it says that is in rated area. එතකොට 12.5% apply වෙන්නේ for the rated area, 10% is for the unrated area. To be considered whether this is in rated area or not, you can consider these wordings. Otherwise, that wordings are not necessary. So market value you have given. This 60,000 is the market value, but 5,000 is collected from the employee. That means benefit is only 55,000, not the 60,000 if we are considering the market value. Actually, market value, if market value is given, at that time we can consider the market value as a benefit. Then 5,000 can be deducted from this amount to consider the benefit. මොකද 5,000ක් සේවකයාගෙන් එකතු කරනවා නම් 60,000ක් වටින ගෙට ඒ කියන්නේ 55,000යි යාගේ benefit එක වෙන්නේ. The company has paid his telephone bills of the residents 188,000. So telephone bills are reimbursed. Then 50% should be considered. He attended in a foreign tour to meet the suppliers of motor cars in Japan. Air ticket cost incurred by the company is 380 and another 580 incurred by the company for accommodation purpose in January 2025. So if it is a tour, with regard to the official tour, we cannot consider it as a benefit because it is a official tour. The next one, company has reimbursed customer entertainment expenses incurred by Mr. Veerasinghe on behalf of the company on December 30th, 2024. Total reimbursement was 223,000. Now we have to consider the amount. Yes, actually, first 2 weeks study materials I have already uploaded. That means up to today's session, all documents are already uploaded to the LMS. Only answers are remaining. Answers I will be uploaded. 60 minus by 50, yes, that is good. Then accessibility, residence telephone bill, why 50%? Residence telephone bill. So even though that is resident or not, 50% will be applied for reimbursements. So we can assume that it is partly for private and partly for official. Normally, when we are receiving telephone bills, reimbursements, so reimbursements or for the telephones, that means we should use it for official purposes as well. අපිට ටෙලිෆෝන් බිල්ලක් රීම්බර්ස් කරනවා කියන්නෙම ඒවා ඒ ටෙලිෆෝන් බිල ගෙදර ලයින් එකට දුන්නත් මොබයිල් එකට දුන්නත් ඒ දෙන්නේ අපි ඔෆිෂියලුත් යූස් කරන්න ඕන කියන තැන ඉඳලා. That is why we are applying 50%. But if it is an allowance, we do not consider 50%. Total amount should be liable. Then the company has reimbursed customer entertainment expenses. Customer entertainment expenses. Yes, customer entertainment reimbursement is official and not private. අපි ඒ කස්ටමර්ස්ලට කන්න බොන්න දෙන්නේ අපේ සල්ලි වලින්. අපේ සල්ලි වලින් අපි කන්න බොන්න දෙනවා. හැබැයි අපේ එම්ප්ලොයර් එක ආයි අපිට දෙනවා. හැබැයි මගේ යාළුවෝ කට්ටියකට මම කන්න බොන්න දෙනවා. මගේ ප්‍රයිවට් කට්ටියට, මගේ ෆැමිලි එකේ කට්ටියට යාළුවන්ට කෑම බීම දෙනවා. එන්ටර්ටේන්මන්ට් එක්ස්පෙන්සස් දරනවා. ඒක එම්ප්ලොයර් මට දුන්නොත් ඒ මම දරන්න ඕන වියදමක් තමයි මං වෙනුවෙන් එම්ප්ලොයර් දරලා තියෙන්නේ. Because of that, it will be a benefit. But in this case, that reimbursement is for the customer entertainment expenses. He paid it on behalf of the company. Because of that, it is not taxable. Company has paid his mother's hospital bill in March 2025. So it is a part of the employment benefit. Company has granted a personal loan to him during the year. He paid only 300,000 as interest on such loan at the rate of 3%. So earlier, prior to this quantification document, this kind of concessionary rate loans also providing loans for concessionary rate is a benefit. But now, even though that is a benefit, we do not consider it for the tax purpose. මොකද ඉස්සර තිබුණ quantification document එකේ මෙන්න මේ වගේ මේ 10 number 10 එක තියෙන ඒවා benefit එකක් විදිහට අරගෙන tax වලටත් ගත්තා. මොකද ඒක benefit එකක්නේ. ඇත්තටම එළියේ අපි බැංක් එකක අපි personal loan එකක් private නිකම් බැංක් එකකින් ගන්න ගියොත් සමහරවිට ලොකු සමහර හිතන්න මන් දන්නේ rate එකක් සමහරට 10% 15% වෙන්න පුළුවන් අපි ගන්න loan එකකට rate එක. But for a bank employees, sometimes some employees in the authorities, they can obtain a loan at a concessionary rate. ඔගොල්ලෝ ඒ ආයතනවල වැඩ කරනවා නම් දැන් සාමාන්‍යයෙන් ගත බැංකුවක ලෝන් එකක බැංක් එම්ප්ලොයිස් ලාගේ ලෝන් එකේ ඉන්ට්‍රස්ට් රේට් එක හරිම අඩුයි. එතකොට මාකට් එකේ තියෙන රේට් එක හිතමු 9% කියලා. එයාට දෙනවා 3%. The difference between 9 and 3 is a benefit for that person. Earlier, we taxed it. Now, we do not consider it. We consider it as a zero benefit for the taxation. It is a benefit, but for the taxation, we do not consider. So, you are required to calculate assessable income of this person. Yes. Okay, we have already we covered all questions in this paper. After that, before your midterm examination, let's do this kind of question paper. Then you can remind all calculations. This is relevant to previous session regarding the non-cash benefit. Company is hiring a vehicle for 200 monthly rent and given to manager. How much rupees we have to consider as liable? If it is a vehicle, then we can consider 20,000. So actually we have given this quantification considering this kind of situation because practical situation we had, practical issues we had when we are applying this market value. Actually, Act says to consider values provided under this quantification or quantification should be done by the Commissioner General if that the benefit is not ascertainable. If it is not ascertainable, then only Commissioner General should quantify. That is how Act says. But we had some practical issues, like an issue you have mentioned. You means real. As real mentioned, we had this kind of issues. Sometimes very higher position officers are receiving vehicles after hiring. Their rental value is very huge. Sometimes it is over 1 million. But when we are considering the liability, if we consider that huge amount, that high amount as a benefit, sometimes that employee cannot pay taxes for that benefit. හිතන්නකො 1.2 million monthly rental එකක් දීලා vehicle එකක් ගත්ත කියලා. ඔයගොල්ලෝ දන්නවා ඉතින් private sector එකේ ඉන්නකොට දැන් රජයේ ආයතනවල වුණත් එහෙමයි. ඇමතිවරු හිටියා. මේ අයට vehicle එකක් ගන්නවා rent කරලා. rent එක මම pay කරනවා මාසෙකට 1 million විතර. සමහරවිට ලොකු ගොඩක් ගණන් වල vehicles තිබුණා. එහෙම නැති වුණත් හිතන්නකෝ සාමාන්‍ය මාසෙකට ලක්ෂ 2ක් 3ක් දීලා vehicle එකක් rent කරා කියලා. මේ vehicle එකට අදාළව ටැක්ස් එක ගියොත් එහෙම මේ අයට මේක ගෙවා ගන්නත් බෑ. අන්න ඒ හේතුව නිසා තමයි මේ වගේ අර ටේබල් එකක් හඳුන්වලා දුන්නේ. එතකොට කිව්වා අර වෙහිකල් එක අරගෙන මෙයා යන්නේ private use සහ public use දෙකටම. But we can tax only the part that used for private use, not the official use. මට වාහනයක් කම්පැනි එකකින් ආයතනයකින් දුන්නොත් I am using that vehicle not only to official use but private use. So through this quantification, we identified the amount we use it for private use. So that part we are taxing, the other part we are ignoring because we consider it as we used for official use. So that is why we do not consider the hired amount or entered amount, and we consider only the amount given in the quantification document. Okay. හරි. එහෙනම් හැමෝටම තේරෙන්නේ නැති employment income calculate කරන හැටි. So this 10 o'clock. So we can stop the session. If you have questions, you can ask. I will upload the answer sheet. සමහරට මටත් වැරදිලා තිබුණොත් පොඩ්ඩක් මටත් ඒක මතක් කරන්න ඔයගලන්ගේ උත්තරත් එක්ක බලලා. මමත් කලබලෙන් උත්තර හදන කෙනෙක් හින්දා මටත් වරදින්න පුළුවන්. Okay. Do you have any questions? Shall we stop the session? Okay, then. Okay, thank you very much. Good night. Thank you. Good night.